Hey, Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. Well, here I am. I just put on my purple cord, and I got to get on my big witch hat here because you know what time it is? It's that special time. It's the witching hour. That's right. I'm here tonight with Lady Angela and Lord Tony, and we're going to have an awesome night. Why don't you guys say hello to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Excited for tonight's show and so glad you're all here.
Hey, everybody. Sorry I missed you all last week. It was a little bit busy, but I'm glad to be here tonight and hope you are too.
Yay! We got the crew reassembled, and I'm just so glad you guys are here. And I tell you, I love Sunday evening. I don't know y'all feel this way, but every time Sunday evening comes around, I get my homey witchy mode on. Like I was brewing up tea earlier and I was putting on my witch hat, and I just felt like, like a kitchen witch tonight. And I thought, then I'm going to get to gather with the OPC tonight. Do y'all feel that way? You ever feel like it's like our home family sort of night almost?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. This is needed.
I think so too. So many of you have written out there. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to everybody who's here tonight. So many of you have written tonight and in this last few weeks and said how much you are enjoying being part of this show. And we couldn't do it without you. We're all part of the show, And so we value your presence, your input, your questions. And tonight we're going to be opening up to questions because as many of us in the Order of the Purple Cord are solitaries. We work on our own a lot. We study from books a lot. But every now and then you run into one of those things where you think, gee, I wish I had another Wiccan to ask a question of. So we created this, kind of open forum night to kind of be of service. And a lot of us here, most of us here have been doing the craft for over 10 years. And I've probably been close to about 20 years. And Lord Tony has been a Wiccan since he was a child. And Lady Angela's been doing it over 10 years. So we got a long history between us. And we want to share our experiences and our home. So we'd love to hear from you. And Lady Angela, what's going on in our chat tonight? We got anybody over there? I haven't got it open.
Oh, yeah. We got a bunch of regulars and some new names. We got Fairy Magic. We got Joey Moon, Melanie Miller. We got G-Dog tonight. We got Lord Tony. We got Kathy Private, Moon Faye, Susan C., Paul Croft, 13 Storm, Kimberly B., Lady Witch, Amy R., Steve Taylor, Joey Moon, Mama Bird's here, Amy Bell's here, Moon Faye's here. We're so happy to see you all here, all the new names and also all our regulars. We're excited to see what y'all want to talk about for tonight.
I am so glad. It's so nice when we can have such a nice turnout here. And we do welcome all of you tonight there. So I'm seeing a lot of the names you just called out there. Claire Wallace is here. Raven Fisher's here. Great. Billy is here. Billy Addison, Pam Mayers, Kathy Private. Hey, guys. Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer. Good to see you, darling. Jennifer Croxton. Yeah, Joey Moon. This is wonderful. I love it. I love it. Well, tonight we're here and we're going to talk about different things. And, by the way, I have to show you something fun tonight. You guys know Psychic Bob is a jewelry addict, Well, check out my new pendant I'm wearing. I got me the coolest vintage. In fact, I have to take it off here, show y'all. But I got a really great vintage pendant here, and it's a giant fish. Can you guys see that?
Oh, wow.
Now, his body reticulates, so he moves, and the scales are all little crystals hanging in the scales. They're marquee cut gemstones. And he's done it like a gold tone, silver tone. It's kind of a gold with a little silver mixed in. But I wear it. You can see it's hard to see against the shirt, but it's a big pendant. Isn't that great?
Oh, what's amazing.
Well, I'm a bit of a sea witch these days. And since I've been down here at my mother's at the beach, I'm getting in all my witchy sea witch jewelry. I had to share it with you guys, So,
I had something to share. I stumbled across at a thrift store. It's just a cute little knickknack, but it's a fairy with a little mirror.
Ooh.
And I'm enjoying her. I put her on my bathroom vanity and in the little corner there, and I've just been enjoying her. I thought you guys would like to see that. A little bit of the fae.
I love it. Yay. Well, Lord Tony, right before we started the broadcast, Lord Tony said, Psyche Bob, you need a little energy boost. I said, yes, I do, Lord Tony. And Tony pulled out a bunch of titanium, and that got me all revved up. Lord Tony, you want to show that titanium?
Yeah, I can do that. I don't know if I'm
Wow.
up here.
Oh, I love it. I told Lord Tony, I say he better lock his garage because Psyche Bob might just accidentally sleepwalk into it and leave with a bunch of titanium.
This is my attitude adjuster bar.
Oh my gosh. You know, I'm telling you, do you see why Tony's kids are so well behaved? You know, my dad used to pull the leather belt on me, but if I had a dad with a titanium rod, I think I definitely would have straightened up my attitude much quicker.
That's awesome. Joey Moon says he hopes you're recovered from Monday, Bob.
Excuse me? Oh, yes. Yes.
Everybody says they hope you've recovered from Monday, you know.
From the fire, yes.
That was scary.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. My throat is still a little messed up. I've been doing readings. Those of you that had private sessions with me, you know that I've been having a little trouble in my throat. So I think I got more smoke inhalation than I realized. But I'm okay. I'm doing a lot better. And you know, like I always say, being connected to the earth brings healing. And since coming back to Mom's, I've been down at the beach, at the water, really taking in that ocean energy. I'm coming back to balance. Thank you for all your kind concern.
Melanie Miller has a great question. She asks, what does the Mercury retrograde mean to us, and how should we deal with the effects?
Wonderful question. Well, Mercury retrograde is when the planet Mercury appears to go backwards in the sky. Now, just to clarify, it doesn't actually go backward, it just appears that way. But from an astrology viewpoint, when it goes backwards, it means there's complexity or delays. And planet Mercury deals with communications. And so when we talk about Mercury going retrograde, it goes backwards in the chart. This is really a time when you've got to be doubly, triply, quadruply, really careful with communications, with electronics, with especially legal situations. We always tell people, you know, don't sign legal contracts, you know, hastily during Mercury retrograde because terms and conditions can get really wonky, and there can be major misunderstandings that could cause a lot of damage. I always find, like, I used to work at a company where the phones went on the fritz during Mercury retrograde. And it's like when all the phones start going crazy, I'd look at my calendar and say, oh, Mercury's in retrograde. So what it means is be careful with your communications. Be careful with any electronics. I always even say, like, doing stuff like buying a car during Mercury retrograde could be really chancy because your financing deal could get screwed up and you end up signing to pay, you know, 200% interest rather than 2%. And also, you know, your car, if you buy it during Mercury retrograde, suddenly might get it home and all the electronic systems go out. It's really weird, but I find Mercury retrograde to be pretty consistent, at least in my life.
That's a great answer. Moonfay asks us, what are the moon signs? Can we discuss what does it mean when someone says my moon sign is this, or what's your moon signs? How do they affect us?
Well, Angela, I'm going to let you answer that one because you really have a lot of info on that in your spell pages.
Okay, I really enjoy the moon signs, you know, and a lot of times our signs, like our sun sign, our birth sign, indicates how we project ourselves into the world. But our moon signs is usually it's your ascending planet, I believe, or your rising planet on your chart, I believe. But your moon sign is the one that's more like how you feel internally. It's your flip side. Like if you're a coin, you know, it's your outward projecting as your sun side, but your inward projecting how you process the world and how you feel within is your moon sign. We're like, I'm a Libra sun sign, which I'm always trying to find balance in things. I'm a little bit quirky, things like that. I take a long time to make decisions and stuff. That's how I project outwardly. But yet I'm a Capricorn moon sign, which makes me a lot more level-headed and more grounded. That's my experience with moon signs. And I find that a lot of times in people, you find some people project their sun sign more. Some people project their moon sign for. A very good friend of mine, her name is Jamie, she's a twin, and she's an Aries, where her brother has more of the predominant Aries qualities outwardly into the world, where she projects her moon sign, because she definitely doesn't act like an Aries, because there's a big difference. But that's my theory with the moon signs. And there's books and charts and ways that you can figure it up or look at your chart to get it. But it is a good thing for you to know, and it will help you to understand yourself and how you project yourself into the world.
Absolutely. Lord Tony, do you want to say anything about moon signs?
No.
Okay.
I know nothing about it. So that's one thing I've never really gotten much into, was learning about that. I have no idea how to figure it out for myself. So
astrology is a complex thing. A lot of people don't realize it, but it can go a million layers deep, you know, and it's not something you just kind of know. You actually have to study it in depth. And Lady Angela, you have some wonderful pages that define the astrology signs and stuff.
Oh, I do. Actually, I really, really do. And I've actually been printing some for an order, so I actually have them here handy. But I have a lot of things. Like, I have a set of pages that are on astrological incense for whatever your sign is. There's different incenses that'll help to heighten your vibration and bring about your qualities. Or if you're working magic, that's when the sun is in a certain zodiac sign and you want to incorporate that energy into your spell work, you can concoct an incense that associates with that astrological sign and work that. So I have a set of pages that are just for those if you're interested. In zodiac, I have pages that help you with to tune in to planetary influences when you're making amulets, talismans, or charms. So depending on what sign the sun is in, you can make amulets and charms that are incorporated for that sign. I use this a lot when I'm making talismans and jewelry for people, and whatever their zodiac sign is, I'll use the colors and different things that are associated with in that kind of jewelry. And I also have a set of pages that are about when the moon is in a certain sign. This is during a month, whatever sign the moon happens to be in, and how it influences all of us. It tells you the sign, what the theme is, what to seek out and avoid. Like for Aries, if the moon is in Aries, the theme is initiative and independence. You seek out tasks that require courage, brainstorming, and on-the-spot decision-making. You avoid trying to resolve conflicts. You avoid routine duties that require your patience because the energy isn't right for that right then. You know, you'll find challenges. So there's just a lot of pages I have on Zodiac. Crystals and gemstones of the Zodiac charts that you can work with. I have I have some pages that actually, like this is one for Virgo, and it not only has a bit about it, but it has the symbol. You see there, the symbol? And it even has the constellation charted out on it for each sign. And you could get these at my website. Here's the one for Scorpio. And in the center of the scorpion, it has the constellation. These can be found at my website at rarewiccaspells.com. And they're very affordable. They're printed on this heavyweight parchment paper. This is that 24-pound stuff. And I use dark colored paper because it looks older and it's just beautiful. So
I have a number of Lady Angela's Zodiac pages, and I use them all the time. That when the moon is in chart. Can you hold that up again, Lady Angela?
Oh, yeah, sure. That's one of my favorites too. That's one of my go-to pages in my own book of shadows.
Yeah, this page, I've used it regularly in my videos. Some of you have seen my videos. I use this. Yep. I just want to show it to them real quick so they can understand the value of it.
It's a 2-page set. This is the first one. It's called When the Moon is In. And if you go to my website, you could type that in the search, When the Moon is In, and it'll pop up.
Yeah. So you guys, you know, if you want to work with your astrological energies, I recommend it because, you know, the universe goes without saying is a big place. And when we understand the cosmos and the forces that we interconnect with that, that's a whole nother level of power to bring into our lives, to bring change and positive, you know, energy. So I just definitely recommend it. You know, I'm a big believer in astrology.
Fairy Magic asked us to discuss what the energy is whenever there's an eclipse. What does that energy do? What happens when that happens, Bob?
Well, you know, eclipse, well, it depends if you're talking about a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse.
Just an eclipse in general.
Well, generally, well, again, it depends. Let me just say, eclipse is a time of inner work. It's a time of inner discovery, inner mystery. It's almost like the outer world gets veiled from the illuminations of the zodiac. For example, the sun is called, and the moon are both called the great illuminators of the zodiac. And that means that they illumine our entire lives. And so when there's an eclipse of either the sun or the moon, this is a time it says, outer world is veiled. What comes forth from the inner world? So it's a time for meditation, reflection. Now, in the old days, a lot of people used to say, oh, it's an ominous sign. It means death is coming. Not necessarily. A lot of that was created by people who were afraid of inner wisdom. You know, the thing about the revival of the craft is that it's helped people break down fear in their lives. And I'm not picking on any one religion, but a number of the Western religions inculcated fear into people. And that's where all this myth came that an eclipse means everybody's going to die. They didn't want people to do the inner work because when people do the inner work, it takes power away from some of these patriarchal religions. And so the eclipse is about finding your power within. I think it very much represents also the energy of the dark mother, the dark goddess.
Very good.
Which can be scary, but also can be very beautiful and a sign of rebirth.
Amy Bell says something wonderful in that regard. She says, when there's an eclipse, the hidden is revealed. And I think that's a very good way of putting it, a very good way.
I love that. You said it perfectly, dear. Really good.
Raven Fisher is commenting about something I've been wanting to comment about. Tell us about those mom's baskets hanging behind you, Bob. Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, my mom, she's like me. We're both kind of collectors. A collector is a whole personality type. And when you're a collector, you get obsessed. I know I get obsessed with my jewelry. As you guys know, I get obsessed. I do about 100 pieces of jewelry at a time. My mom was, for a phase, she's not into it as much as she used to be. She used to be into Longaberger baskets. I don't know how to say it, Longer or Longaberger. But these are, they were made in America. They used to be a factory. I think some of it's made in America. But back in the day, Longaberger baskets, this was back in like the 1990s. It became all the rage to start collecting baskets. And Longaberger back then was so big, you would literally take a tour bus, and it became like a social thing. You'd go with people to visit the factory, and they had a restaurant, then you'd have lunch, and you'd shop the latest designs. And it was a real kind of a social thing. And my mom back in the 1990s was really into that. We'd go on all the tours and travel to the events. And she's collected it. We have them all over the house. And that's only a few of them. I can't show you all. They're literally every room filled. But these are some of her littler ones, smaller baskets. She has this, I think that's a Longaberger display tree actually for them as well.
It's so cute. Thank you for telling us about it. Tony, I think this question's a good one for you. I believe their name is Nith Raven or Night Raven. Asks, how do you see the Fae in your house? And Tony, I know you're able to see a lot of different entities in your house. Can you offer them some information on that?
Usually if I see something, it's just a glowing light, and I usually can tell that it's Fae by the trail that it leaves. It's you'll see like a dot. If you take like a match or a flashlight and just hold it in one spot and then move it, you'll see like a trail flow behind it. That's what I usually see when I know they're in my house.
What about other spirits and entities, Tony? How have you seen them? Sometimes I see them as a passing glimpse, and then if I kind of look away but look, I can clue in on them. You know, sometimes I see them that way.
Yeah, most of the time I see them as a shadow. I have a lot of shadows that move through my house, especially down here in the basement, and or I'll get them in dreams. They'll visit me in my dream. It's like more than realistic than life type dream. And they'll visit me that way and talk, and then you wake up and you're like, who the heck was that? You know, things like that. But that's usually how I see them. Other times I'll get the occasional vision when I meditate. You know, I'll see one pop in, or I'll see them slowly just kind of pop their shape over the top of my head as I'm meditating with my face up like this. You'd be like, okay, where are you? Things like that.
I love that. You know, Tony, I hope you don't mind me saying, but you were kind of fortunate because you grew up in kind of a Wiccan household, didn't you? So you were, I think, from an early age, probably taught to be open to these realities.
Yeah, it's not something that I was supposed to be afraid of.
I say that's good because I think your connection is stronger than most because it didn't get shut down. You know, a lot of our society wants to shut down kids who have experiences.
Absolutely.
I've made sure my kids, they've seen things when we moved into this house. And at first I was kind of skeptical of it, but then when they started telling me things that I already knew that I had, that they've seen, that they didn't know I had yet, and they're like, okay, as long as you see them, that's fine. You don't need to be afraid of them because they're not going to do anything to you.
Oh, how interesting. Lady Witch says the fairy in her house looks like a piece of metallic gold wrapping paper streaking by, very pretty. And Susan C says that she had a ghost who used to visit and he smelled like cigarettes. You know, some of my guides, I see them like, I've heard the word fade be used to describe ghosts and stuff. And sometimes you can like see them on the fade level, kind of like a shadow, but it's also kind of like you can glimpse into their realm. I've seen that before. One of my guides, Jack, Bob knows Jack. He's kind of like a piratey kind of, he's a cool dude. And I've looked over and seen him in his fade form, in his fade world, sitting at the end of a bar, just kind of like winking at me, you know, and like he was like waiting for me to call out to him to connect with him. But I've seen them in like the fade form as well, and that's really cool. Everybody's a little different. I think every spirit's a little different too, huh, Bob?
Oh, yeah. Well, what you have to kind of keep in mind is that there are different levels in the spirit world. And depending on where your guide or your angel resides, you may go into a different portal to see a different reality. And sometimes they'll leave their normal abode and come down to the lower etheric realm. The etheric realm is on the edge of the physical. It's where the spiritual and physical meet. So sometimes they'll come in that realm and you'll have a different experience, you know, than when they're in their own realm. And so what I always say is, you know, receive them as they come because they made a lot of effort to be there.
That's good advice. Joey Moon asked for our thoughts on the Blessed Mother.
Oh, one of my favorite people in the spirit world. Now, you know, in the Wiccan community, I have to put this out there. There are some Wiccans who are very against anything that smacks of Christian connections. Which I say, if you actually study the history of the Christian church, the early Christian church blended paganism and Christianity. The Blessed Mother, I believe, Mother Mary is who we're talking about, the Mother of Christ. I believe she's an emanation of the goddess. You know, and if the Christians say that Jesus is God in flesh, he's a form of the Godhead in flesh, then it would only make sense that he'd be under the protection of a divine mother. And so I think Mary is an emanation of the goddess. I myself have had, and Lady Angela, I know you have too, we've had experiences where the Blessed Mother has intervened in our lives at different times. And so I have a great love for her. And I feel I, as a Wiccan, feel no conflict in praying to her, calling on her, and still being a Wiccan. That's my take.
Yep. Well, I feel all of the goddesses are all a part of the one, and all the gods too, into one main form, you know. And it's just different ways for us to relate with the something that's so much greater than ourselves. And think of it kind of like saints, you know, or gods or goddesses with different names. And Mary is a version of the goddess that I connect with very much so as that mother, the actual mother goddess aspects in all her forms, as Mary or as Guadalupe, or even as a dark goddess in her form as Mary, Mother of Sorrows. You know, there's a lot of ways that I'm able to connect with that. And just Mary alone is very much an ascended master. I'm certain of it. And she comes to us at certain times and helps us to ascend to a higher level of whatever we're going through at that time. She's always there for us. Her and other goddesses as well. But that's my thoughts on the Mother Goddess in the form of Mary.
Absolutely. If I can just throw in there, you know, you also want to look to 20th century history because Mary made many appearances. She appeared more recently in the most recent apparition has been in Medjugorje in what was former Yugoslavia, now Bosnia and Herzegovina. But she's still appearing there. She's appeared in Lourdes, France in the late 1800s. She appeared in Fatima, Portugal in the early 1900s. So Mary keeps coming to the earth. He always brings a message of love and healing and awakening.
Absolutely. There's a lot of chitter chatter in the chat, Bob, about I guess you have a purple Tesla plate, and someone wanted to know if you still use it. And I thought maybe Tony could tell us if he knows anything about it. What is it, Bob? What is a purple Tesla plate? What is this?
Well, the purple Tesla plate, I don't have it here with me, but to answer the question, yes, I do still use it. And it is a plate that's made of metal, like an aluminum plate, and it's purple. And there's a secret process. The people that create these have not told what their process is, but somehow the plate is infused with a certain type of energy. I'm not quite sure how to explain. I have to get their literature to read it to you. But basically what the plate is, it's similar in many ways to the pyramids because it carries a vibration that when you put stuff on it, it raises its energy. Like, so for example, you know, when you go to the store and you buy bananas, right? And if they're not green when you buy them, if you buy yellow bananas, like within 2 days, they turn brown, you know, or black. Do you know what I'm talking about, Angela?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you put those same bananas on the purple plate, it will extend its life like a week. Instead of 2 days of turning brown, it takes like 8 days before it starts to brown. And I've tested this, and I can't explain how it works, but those plates purify and uplift energy. And so, like, if you can, I oftentimes consecrate water on it because I feel like raises the vibration of the water. So I'll put bottled water on it that I'm going to drink. I'll put holy water on it that I'm going to consecrate for ritual. So yes, I use it that way.
Tony, you have charging plates or charging dishes as well, don't you?
I have charging boxes, but that's usually just for the spirits that I have attached to vessels still. I've never heard of a Tesla plate before. That's kind of an interesting topic there.
I thought you'd be interested in that, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I know you can, if you make a copper pyramid, you can put your stuff inside there too and receive that same pyramidical energies.
So you're talking about vessels that things can be
Yep.
put in to charge. Yep.
Yep.
I was thinking of your selenite charging tablet, or what is it, a pad, or?
It's a tea light candle holder.
Ah.
But the opening is just big enough, you know, for vessels and for other stones to put inside there when you need them charged up.
Oh, how cool. Tony, we've talked about before, but you also have a lot of power that comes out of the shungite, I believe, shungite crystals.
Mm-hmm. I love shungite. Yeah, I wear that all the time, and yeah, it's great for blocking electromagnetic energies. I'm not so sure about the 5G energies that'll be coming through, but like your 4G Wi-Fi, it'll transmute the negative, you know, harmful waves into a more positive wave that's beneficial to your body instead. Creates nice energy bubbles.
I'm going to ask you to help me to do some research on shungite with 5G. The reason why is when I set up my mom's wireless network here in the house,
mm-hmm.
I was informed, against my better joy and wishes, that our household has now been selected to be a 5G household.
Oh, you're going to get good internet.
Oh, it's already happened. They did it back when I set this up. They said, you're already 5G. We want you to know you're in the experimental group. I said, really? My mom didn't choose that. And they said, well, we randomly select people and we put your house into 5G network.
Yeah, so, I was unaware that 5G had already been turned on in certain places.
They turned it on in select households, and I was notified our household is now 5G, which I don't really like, but it's what it is.
Yeah, 4G is probably the maximum that you really want to go. 5G is going to make things super fast, but it also destroys the cells in your body.
Well, I have a reason to believe that we were selected for 5G.
Right? Bob, Jennifer Croxton has a great question. She would like to know, what is hand fasting? What is our thoughts on hand fasting?
Well, you know, I'm just a single bachelor guy. What could I know about that? Actually, you know, a lot of people don't know. I'm an ordained minister. I'm a state licensed by the state of Virginia, Washington, D.C., and District of Columbia, and Maryland. I'm a licensed, ordained, legally ordained minister. Hand fasting is the Wiccan form of a committed partnership ceremony. Now, that could take the form of a legal marriage or a non-binding, non-legal union between two people. Traditionally in Wicca, it's been seen very much more as a, well, there are two ways. It could be literally the wedding itself, or it could be like a betrothal before the wedding. Some people, what they'll do is they'll have a hand binding. It's a ceremony where the couple pledges their love to each other before the community. And then we literally take a cord, similar to our purple cord, and we bound their hands as a sign of union. During that time, generally the vow is made, I bind you for a year and a day. And then at that time, they may choose to renew it on a longer basis or a permanent basis. But most, in the early days, Wiccan hand fastings were not forever till death do us part. The Wiccan community recognizes that relationships go through changes and phases. Unlike the Christian church, where it's like if you get married, you're married forever and you can't ever reconsider it without grave sin. We don't put people in that pressure. So a lot of times it's done for a year and a day, and then at that point it can be renewed. So it can be either way. I don't know if that answers that.
Boy, wouldn't it be fun if even being regular married, if you had a year and a day clause, so that if it didn't work out, it would just be, bye, see ya,
Exactly.
It probably prevents a lot of divorces.
I thought that was called an annulment.
Well, yeah, but
a year and a day, it would be nice.
Yeah, well, there are, Tony, you're right. There are annulments, but it still involves a lot of complexity with the court to get it done. And you see, I think the Wiccan elders who created the hand fasting were very wise. They really evaluated situations. And I think that's one of the things, because there's no condemnation in Wicca if your relationship goes south. In the traditional Christian America, I'll just speak on the United States, there was a big stigma back up until the 1970s of divorce. And if a woman was divorced, she was considered kind of, oh, well, something's wrong with her. A lot of times, sad to say, the guys got through divorce unscathed, but it was the women who, and as women always have to take the brunt of society's disapproval. Wicca has, I think, done a great service to our culture, because it's starting to help break down that stigma and recognizes the reality of situations.
Absolutely. Joey Moon asked a question about one of my favorite witchy things, which is crossroads. For our thoughts on crossroads. And I'll tell you, Joey, one of my favorite goddesses is Hecate. And she's keeper of the keys, and she's a guardian of the crossroads and transitions, and she illuminates the path. And crossroads I favor when working magic. Hecate, she rules over all crossroads, but especially those that are three-way crossroads. And there's been many times in my life where I've worked some magic that was for transitions for myself, like to break ties or start new paths. And whatever item I made that represented that magic, I sought out crossroads, or especially one time I lived at a house. It was a fourplex. Well, my apartment was there, and it was on a crossroads. And a lot of stuff happened there that I wanted to leave behind when I left there. And I actually traveled back there, and I had a little box with different little things in it that I worked magic on. And at that crossroads at night, I dug a hole and I buried it there. And that was me leaving that behind. But also, there's a lot of magic you can work by gathering the dirt from crossroads and working magic, or just burying things at the site of crossroads. I love working crossroad magic. I find that it is extremely powerful.
I have been wanting for the longest time to go down to New Orleans,
Oh, wow. Me too.
Louisiana voodoo magic down there, and they work a lot with the crossroads. And, down in Louisiana, you'll hear a lot of talk about Papa Legba. And they have songs about Papa Legba. And he's the Orisha, or the what do you call it? The Loa of the crossroads. So I like him. And Hecate is a goddess of the crossroads. There are a lot of different crossroad gods and goddesses.
Yes.
Have you heard of Hecate as a crossroads goddess?
Tony?
Yeah,
just now.
She's fascinating. I have a statue of her in my room. I keep on a high up shelf. It's kind of a dark shelf because she's all. I love when she comes to you in meditations. She's usually standing in the shadows, and then when you cross her path, she steps forward, and she has her torch there. And one of my favorite things about Hecate is they say you can hear her passing at night by the baying of dogs. When dogs just randomly start barking and you can hear the path, sometimes that's Hecate crossing by, her energy. And it's really neat when you work magic, working with that goddess, and then you hear dogs start barking after you've invoked her and stuff. It's just fascinating. She's like queen of the witches, one of the queens of the witches. She's just an amazing goddess to work with. Especially if you're going to work crossroads magic, you might explore into Hecate.
I think
I'll have to give it a shot.
I couldn't hear you, Ted. What's that?
Well, I said I'll have to give that a shot.
She's wonderful. Hey, Bob, Night Raven had made mention of crystal pyramids in the ocean, and that reminded me, you did a video a few years back about the Bermuda Triangle and the crystal pyramid in the middle of the ocean. Do you remember that, Bob?
I think Bob's doing free screen meditations.
Are we still live?
Yeah.
Okay, my whole thing just went down. No, it's just.
That's what mine did last time.
That's so strange. Anyways, what were you saying? I couldn't hear any of what was said.
Can you tell us about the crystal pyramid that's in the ocean?
Oh, yes. Now, this is one of my favorite subjects. If you go to Bermuda, which is literally only 90 miles off the coast of the United States, if you were to leave North Carolina, which is the state right below me, and go east about 90 miles, you'll hit the island of Bermuda. And if you are in Bermuda and you go off the shore, I think it's a little bit to the south, just a mile or two, you can go out at night in a boat and people will take you there. And there's a giant pyramid off the coast of Bermuda that is believed to be connected to ancient Atlantis. The capstone of the pyramid is made of solid crystal and it glows at nighttime. Well, it glows all the time, but it's especially visible at night. And the water in that part of the Caribbean is so clear as you take about, you can look down into it and see the pyramid illuminated at night underwater. Well, what's fascinating is scientists know that it's there, but they're actually just ignoring it. Now, many explorers have gone out and documented it. It's being ignored because if that pyramid is there, which we know it is, then it throws all of the history of science in a whole different direction. That rattles the cages of modern science, which gets a little bit of a stick in the mud energy.
And you did a video too, Bob, about Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
It's been years, but they can find it.
Yeah, if you go to my channel, my YouTube channel, Spirit Channel, and you look up Bermuda Triangle, you'll find it. What's interesting is that's one point of the Bermuda Triangle, and the other points go down towards like the further south toward the Bahamas and Puerto Rico and Cuba. And it's believed that that was a large area of activity for ancient Atlantis. And many of the ancient Atlanteans had space-time space portals because they interacted with aliens. And when Atlantis sunk, those portals never properly closed. And this is what's making all of the phenomena in that area of the Caribbean.
Absolutely. It's fascinating. Matt B asked us about automatic writing. And I know you have some experience with automatic writing, Bob. I don't know if Tony has.
Lord Tony, do you do automatic writing? I don't think we've ever talked about that.
I tried it a couple times, and the pen was moving, and all I got was just a bunch of scribbles that didn't make any sense to me. Okay. So I don't know if it was just supposed to continue going on with that, but it was like a half hour into it, and I finally just stopped doing it. I know I was doing it right because my hand was just on the pen itself. It wasn't resting on the table or anything, and it literally just started going, but I couldn't make out any words out of it.
Huh.
You know, Tony, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to encourage you to try that again. And I would encourage you to do it every day for like just 10 or 15 minutes, you know, not every day, but a few times a week. Because I find with automatic writing, consistency starts it to manifest more strongly.
Bob, you talk about automatic writing in your book, Messages from Rose. I remember you talking about in a section where you got a special pen and you sat in your special chair with a special notebook, and you had a pretty decent experience with it.
I did. That's when Rose started to come through to me. Now, I didn't get a full-blown message the first time I did it, but I did get my hand moving, and I did get, you know, occasional word, you know, like we're here or here. And so they came through in a lot, you know, just little by little is what I'm trying to say. And eventually, as I just let go of my fear, because when it first starts happening, and Tony, you'll probably agree with me, it's a little kind of scary. You're like, oh my God, this is really real. Like you don't believe it's going to happen. And when it happens, and it takes you back a little bit. And that's how one of the early ways that Rose started to manifest through me. Before, nowadays, you guys know I trance channel her, but she originally came through in that form.
That's awesome. Bob, when your computer reset or whatever, did it affect your volume for the echo?
It seems to be back to normal. Are you getting
okay, good. Let's see here. Lotus Night Rain asked a great question just a second ago. She wanted to know more about magical names. I've heard that I've read in a lot of books, there's a lot of different ways to come up with your magical name. I've played around with some of them where you pick like your few favorite things and you put them together and that'll come up with your magical name. Some things go by your date of birth. Some things go by all these different factors. I never had one that mishmashed with me. I just always felt like me, Angela. And so I kind of stuck with Lady Angela. It's just always been my thing. But for others, it's different. What can you guys say about that?
Lord Tony, do you have a magical? I thought at one point you did have a
He
magic.
does.
Yeah. I've had a couple of them. I've gone by Dallin Longbro or Longbow, Hellion Dark Moon, and then Anthony Lightbringer. But that's usually the one I stick with.
I myself had not yet actually chosen a magical name because I used to be in a coven years ago, and the high priestess didn't believe in it. And she didn't think that it was. She was very much into everybody should be open as a Wiccan, and that's a whole different discussion. But she discouraged magical names. But I actually like magical names, and I actually am contemplating a magical name. I don't want to say it yet because from the tradition is when you get a magical name, you first kind of reveal it or share it with your gods, and then you can share it outwardly. So I'm not going to say what I'm contemplating, but I may actually have a name to share with you guys in the future.
Right on. Joey Moon asked us about what can you say about Santa Muerta?
Santa Muerte. You know, Santa Muerte is very fascinating. Lord Tony, didn't you used to work with Santa Muerte?
Nope.
No? Okay, I must be confusing. But Santa Muerte comes out of Mexico. And it's actually looks like a death figure. It's a skeletal figure, dresses in black robes or white. It can dress in any kind of robes. But it actually descends from the ancient Aztec mother goddess. And it is a goddess of death, but you have to understand the context. It's not viewed as a terrifying figure because death is considered a liberator for suffering. And at the end of our life, if we're ill and suffer, Santa Muerte is the mother. She's like the dark mother, very much like Kali or Hecate in a sense, who brings us through the shadows into the new life. And so Hecate or Santa Muerte is very, very much beloved in Mexico. You call it Santa Muerte, I mean holy. Santa is holy, holy death, or and Santa Muerte is viewed as a female, interestingly, which harkens back to the ancient mother goddess. And in the Western North American European tradition, we have death, but we've personified death as a male. And then I think that goes back to our patriarchal culture that's evolved in the last 1,000 years. But originally, death was the mother. And in Wicca, we believe that it's the mother who receives us in death. and ushers us into the Summerland, or the realm of the dead. And the Lord then precipitates our rebirth. But Santa Marta is a goddess, an ancient Aztec goddess.
That's amazing. Alta Gracia was asking, if someone were to change their magical name, would it have negative effects on them or create chaos in their life? And I would like to say no. If you change your magical name, you evolve with your craft and you evolve as a person. And if you do change your name, it's just an evolved version of you, is what I would say as an answer to that. Would you guys agree or disagree with that?
I agree with you. I think the thing that's important to mention about that is, if you are going to change your name, that you also invite your deities that you work with to be part of that. Because, for example, let's say you love the goddess Hecate, and you call yourself Lady Hecate and honor your goddess. But let's say then you devolve to love Isis and you call yourself Lady Isis. You want to honor Hecate. Well, see, all goddesses are one goddess, so they're not going to be angry. But it's a sign of reverence towards your deities that you ask for their guidance in the change of name. And they won't block you. They're going to help you with that, but it's a form of respect.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Some people were asking in the chat about Summerland. What is Summerland?
Well, it's a form of the spirit world. Summerland is a name that many Wiccans use. And also it's interestingly used in the spiritualist church as well. There are actually church hymns about going to the Summerland, you know. But it's really kind of, you might call it Wiccan heaven or spiritualist heaven. You know, I myself don't often use that. I used it tonight, but generally I just call it going to spirit world. Because if you've ever lived through a Washington, D.C. summer, you don't want to go to the summer. You don't want to go there. I might like to go somewhere else, but not the Summerland. But it sounds like it's actually paradise. What's that?
It sounds like mid-July and August here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's
Colorado
funny,
too, but
I never knew it got as hot as it did where you are, Lord Tony. But you're the one who taught me about really how it's such extremes of heat and then winter there.
Yeah, it's like you're living basically in the middle of the continent, so you get everything. You get 100-degree temperatures. You get heat indexes upwards of 110 degrees. You'll get tornadoes. You get severe thunderstorms. You get winters with 10 feet of snow sometimes. Below 40 wind chills, and you name it, we get it.
When the name originated, it's from, you know, they have thoughts of like blooming gardens and things like that, kind of like a springland, summerland. And it's just a traditional other name that applied to the afterlife, you know, spirit world, heaven, summerland, all different names for the afterlife that we pick and choose. So whatever you feel comfortable with, you can name it your party land, whatever you want to name it, you know, but that's just what you're calling your afterlife. And it's that spirit world. It's the afterlife.
Be your happy place.
Yeah, it's your happy place. The above and beyond.
If I could just add on to that, I think that term may have come out of England or the United Kingdom, Britain, because if you've ever been to summers in Britain, it is really delightful there.
Oh.
They're far further north. They don't have the extremes of heat. Well, they do nowadays because of global warming, but they used to not. And summers in England used to be like in the mid-70s, you know, with a light breeze.
Oh,
very
nice.
luxurious. Nowadays, actually, Britain, and those of you, anybody, I don't know if everybody's here from Britain, but you know, it's, you guys can tell about what it used to be like, some of you. Do we have another question? Let's see here. I can't see my screen here.
I'm trying to figure out who's talking to me.
Are you getting a spirit message now, Lord Tony?
My right ear is ringing like crazy.
Oh, that's interesting. So that means they're testing the vibration around you.
Yeah, I'm getting like goosebumps all over.
Oh, okay.
It's been happening a lot more lately.
Interesting. It's kind of like tinnitus a bit.
Yeah.
Joey Moon's asking me if I can give them some advice. I'd love to. What is your question?
I'm seeing, okay. I need help too. Oh, okay. Nith Raven says, Bob, one stormy night on my way to work, I was followed by a bright light. Was that a UFO? Well, Nith Raven, normally we don't do private answers on this, but I think that's a valid question. In your case, I don't think it was a UFO. I think it was a spirit presence. A lot of people are experiencing spirits crossing the sky now. They're not all UFOs. Sometimes they're like above the treetops. You know, but there are cases where UFOs literally will fly over somebody's car and shine a beam down. So I don't know if you had a direct beam on you, but if you just saw a light in the sky, I'm getting that it was a spirit, not necessarily a UFO.
Very good. Alta Gracia Wilwin asked, they've heard that tattoos hold negative energy, especially when others look at them. What do you guys think? I think not. I think that they're spiritual symbols. They represent you. I always have some kind of a spiritual significance to anything that I put as ink on my body. But definitely, I don't think, no, that. Why would you want to put a tattoo on you that held negative energy? No, you're going to pick a tattoo that's significant to you, that makes you happy and that you're connected with. That's what you put on you. And then when people see it and appreciate it or ask you what does it mean, you tell them, it just adds more vibrations to that in a positive way.
Yeah.
That's my belief on it.
Well, let me add one thing into that. I think the exception to what Lady Angela is saying would be like, for example, gang tattoos.
Oh, that's
true. A gang and you're wearing a gang like MS-13 tattoos, those would hold negative energy because you're linking to a negative organization. But if you're just getting a tattoo because you enjoy it, then it's not negative.
Absolutely. Megan asked a great question. Advice for witches that are in the broom closet. She lives with others who aren't open to her beliefs. You can wear jewelry that's witchy. You can wear little bottles that have herbs and stuff in it, and they might not realize what they are. There's a lot of different discreet ways that you could still do your craft and carry it with you.
One of the ways you... Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, I'm just saying hi to Megan. I know who this is.
Okay, wonderful. One of the things I recommend also would be like a shoebox altar.
Oh.
What you can do is get a shoebox. Do they still sell shoes in shoeboxes? Because I've heard a lot of stores. Well, I just have to ask because I haven't, bought any that haven't been in shoeboxes. But what you can do is get a shoebox and you can put like your tools in it, like have an athame and a wand. And you can have smaller tools. You don't have to buy big, giant stuff. They even make little chalices that'll fit in a shoebox down. And you can like bring that out under your bed at night, and when after your roommates are asleep, set up a little altar, just get a little like a napkin or an altar cloth and make that your altar cloth and have your ritual right in your bedroom on a shoebox altar.
I had a small suitcase I used like that, and I would slide it underneath my bed. That was when I was still a teenager at home. I would do that. Or different things, I picked up at a thrift store once an old wooden oh, Bob, Brian McHugh just gave you Canadian $20.
Oh, my God, Brian, thank you so much. That's a lot of money. That's very generous of you. Going back and forth with old self. Sorry, but I've been using lepidolite and smoky quartz and getting much better results. Vibrations have calmed right down. I'm so glad to hear that. Could you mention stones for viewers to help with ascension? Thanks. Brian, yes. Hold on. We're going to come back to that because I want to let Ada Angel finish her point.
I've forgotten what we were talking about, so go ahead, Bob.
You're talking about the using your altar, like when you're in the.
Oh yes, I went to a thrift store and I picked up an old bread box and I put it on my dresser, and I could have my little whatever snatches or whatever it was that I had inside and closed. Then when I wanted to do ritual, I could open it up and it was set up inside, or I could bring my candles out and sit them on the dresser beside it and be able to work some magic there discreetly.
See, I think that's wonderful because, it's a shame because in the United States, if you're Christian or Judeo-Christian, it can openly be your religion, but for some reason Wiccans still aren't fully able. But don't let that stop you, because remember this: the craft has survived because we knew how to be underground, and there was open persecution. People could be killed for being Wiccan. years ago. Nowadays, it's less hostile, but in many places, there's still prejudice. So you can be discreet. And I think, like Lady Angela said, with a suitcase altar, it's wonderful, or a shoebox altar. You know, and you can wear, a lot of times if you can't openly wear pentacles, you can wear crystals as well, because a lot of people look at crystals as just decorative. They won't know, but you'll know that you're wearing a crystal that is a magical crystal.
And
I have.
Brian, go ahead, Tony.
No, I've done something like what Angela was saying, because if I leave my stuff out, my cats think it belongs to them, and it gets spread everywhere that it doesn't belong, or stuff goes missing. And I've just got basically a box. It looks like a chest, about this big, and all my stuff fits inside that, nicely folded up, and everything I need is in that box.
Tony has an awesome travel altar. I think that's what he's talking about. Maybe next show you could bring it and show it to us, Tony, because it's really nice.
Yeah, I'll do that.
That'd be cool. Bob, before we forget Mr. Brian McHugh's question about if we can mention stones that help with ascension.
Absolutely. You know, one of the stones that I keep seeing reappear, a lot of times when I do readings, I've had the Count of Saint Germain come in. He's an ascended master, and he always brings in, when he comes to me, crystals in his hand that are usually amethysts. And he is known as the Lord of the Seventh Ray, which is an ascension ray. Amethyst is one of the main stones for ascension. Now, not the only stone, but it is a significant one that you might want to investigate. I also think that Lemurian crystals, Lemurian quartz crystals, seed crystals, are also an ascension stone, because they're bringing back the consciousness of the Lemurians, which were very ascended people before the collapse of Lemuria. Also, the stones connected to the sign of Aquarius are very much ascension stones now. I'm an Aquarius, and the Aquarian stones tend to be garnet, again, amethyst, and also aquamarine is an ascension stone. Almost any crystal, depending on who you are, if it resonates and vibrates to your higher self, it will be for you an ascension stone. So if somebody tells you, you know, oh, I wear orange calcite as an ascension stone, and you say, well, I've never had any success with orange calcite, don't discredit that person, because a lot of these crystals tie back into your own journey as well and what you're working on.
Absolutely. And,
you guys want to add anything?
Me and Tony, we both like selenite. You know, it's wonderful for channeling and ascension magic. I have a piece of it here. It's a beautiful stone to work with. You can see how it just glows, and it's really good for working with higher powers and ascension type magic. And I also like angel aura type crystals. I like celestite crystals that I showed in the last video, because it connects with higher powers. Those are ones I work with, but especially selenite. Just to me, it's an ascended stone, and that's what I'll hold and channel with.
Yeah, for me, what has worked the best is, well, selenite works great for connecting with the divine. And then if you take the combination of moldavite and Herkimer diamond, that combination works really well and can just blow your mind.
I love that. You know, Lady Angela, I'm glad you mentioned celestite, because that's one I find is a very ascended stone. It puts me in that ascension place.
Yep. I show a bit of it, but I have a bathroom altar too. Of course, I have altars all through my house, just like Bob. And there I have a lot of my more celestial type stones. Hey, Bob, I had a book I wanted to show real quick.
Please.
I made a small one recently. I've made several that are like this, you know, with the black and the pentacle. It's always fun design. But I made one here, a big one. This one is available for sale, but I used the special, like, dark brown dragon color of fabric, and I put a big silver pentacle on it, and it has silver bookmarks, and inside it has triquetras in the corners. And this one's just full of spells and rituals. And any of my books, I'd love to make a book for anybody, but I don't just sell books. You can get pages and things too, like the wand blessing. I let spirit inspire me on what to include in certain ones and what pages to include. And each one comes with a certificate of authenticity. But this one, I just had a feeling I wanted to make it using this special fabric, this special brown, like a dragon skin or reptile skin fabric. And just to show you guys some of what I could make for you. This one was really fun to make. It's over on eBay right now. But if you like the design, I could make one for you directly. Just go over to my website at rarewiccaspells.com. Send me a message. Let me know what kind of a special book you have in mind for you. We'll put our heads together, and I would love to make the very special book that's personal and specific to you. And you can save 10%. Use coupon code Spirit Channel on any order.
Let me tell you, her books are treasure. I have a number of them, and I love them. I'm going to have them for the rest of my life and pass them on as heirlooms. And, you know, the wonderful thing is, if you can't remember the website, right below this video, after it processes, I have a link to Lady Angela's website where you can go and connect with her to get a special made book. And Lady Angela, you know, it takes her a little while. It might take a week or two, maybe even 3 weeks. But I can tell you, she goes through a full bookbinding process. It's all done by hand. And her books do not fall apart. They are solid. They will last you forever. And I highly, 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 highly recommend it. Especially, well, whether you've been doing Wicca 1 month or a million years, her books will help you. I think especially when you're starting in the craft, I wish when I had started in the craft, I had somebody who would have an option to sell me books like this, because it really helps you. It helps you get your craft going. And I just love it. And if you've been a long-time crafter, you'll really even appreciate even more, because you'll see things, you'll think, gosh, I'm so glad she put that in. I hadn't thought of even putting that in my own book, you know. So I recommend.
Unique with mine is, you know, they're not blank, and they're also not packed full of just endless information. It's a nice blending of both. So it has information, and I can make a completely journal one for you too. If you're not a newbie, or you just want a book of mirrors, or you just want something to create as your own, I can make you one with beautifully designed journal pages all throughout. And I can even make journal pages that are specific to you. Some people like cats. Some people like specific goddesses. Some people like certain animals, and I can design journal pages that are special for you and for your book, and use that. And of course, I show you images and stuff, and we find just the right mix that's for yours. And my book, what I really like, even my spell books, it has journal pages on the back sides of each of the spell or ritual pages. So it encourages you not only to learn and explore, but also to create and make it your own and add to it as you go. And it just really makes it yours and personal, and it'll be your favorite thing once you get one. So Bob, we're out of time. What happened?
Oh my gosh. I tell you, whenever Tony shows up with that titanium, he's got some mojo going on. Tiny's do that again, Tony. Say, you gotta speak though. We can always count on Lord Tony to do his time.
Joey Moon's asked this question a few times in our chat. Maybe we can squeeze it in. He saw a rainbow in the sky on a clear day with no rain, no clouds. What does that mean?
A rainbow is a symbol of blessing of the divine. Throughout history, and in actually most all religions, it represents the gods bringing blessing to you. So it's wonderful. It also represents that you're growing spiritually, because the colors of the chakras inside of you attune to the rainbow. So it's a sign of your own growth. That's wonderful. Good question. Well, guys, I'm telling you, I don't know where the time goes. It's that titanium. I know it's that titanium. Tiny's going to get that wand. But listen, I want to thank you for being here. Listen, we want to help you out. You know, many of us have devoted our lives here. All of us here have devoted our lives to service of the craft and service to humanity. So please visit our websites. I've got a link to Lord Tony. You'll see it after this video, to his angelic healing. Seek him out. Get his help. Lord Tony's very generous, because he doesn't make you pay a price. But I hope that you will honor him and his gifts and his time by being generous with your donations, because, you know, Lord Tony sacrifices time, and he has a family, has a lot of responsibilities. And when he gives his time to you, you need to honor that. So please honor him by being kind to him as well. Lady Angela, you got to visit her site because she rocks it, as you saw with her books. Now you can buy a lot more. You can buy books there. You can buy individual spell pages. You can buy ritual spell, all of it. Check it out. Again, her link also will be below this video. And if you get bored and you want to pop over to my website, I've got a number of published books there. I'm a published author. And if you go to the top, you'll see book tab and you can buy my books. If you're interested, you can also buy a reading. I am a full-time professional psychic medium. And a lot of you here have had chats or had readings with me in the chat. And so you can tell people. And but I invite you to look us up, be part of our world, and bring us into your lives. And we're going to help you best we can. Do you guys want to say good night to everybody?
It was super exciting tonight, guys. We had a wonderful amount of great questions. We had a number of new people and old-time people that are with us every time. We really appreciate you all, and the show's as much about you as it is us. So thank you all, and blessed be.
Lord
yeah,
Tim.
like Angela said, I'm glad everyone showed up. I'm glad to see all the new faces. I'm glad to be here myself. It's kind of up and down sometimes, but I'm here. I try to be. Anyone who ever wants just to converse with me, you're always welcome to do that too. So,
Awesome.
I love this show. This is a great place to come up for spend my Sunday nights.
Well, we're so glad you're here, Tony. And tell your wife and family thank you for letting us steal you from them.
And if you guys haven't done so, get a reading from Psychic Bob. I mean, he's just great. And he answers so much of your stuff in that hour you have that's one-on-one with him. And it's amazing. You learn so much about yourself, about your path. He strengthens you, teaches you ways to connect with your people, your spirit people. It's just awesome. Give it a go. Send him a message at readings@robert-hickman.com.
Thank you so much, Angela. That's right. If you want to get on my private schedule, you can call my office, 571-483-2112. Get on schedule. If I'm not there, please leave a message. I will get it. Or you can write to me at my email, readings@robert-hickman.com. Again, those links, phone number and email for me as well, will be below this video. Well, guys, my battery on my computer is about to run down. So we got to wrap it up before I totally lose power. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Check out all of the links below and make sure to be here. Oh, you know what tomorrow is, Lady Angela?
Horoscopes.
That's right. It's Monday. We're going to have horoscopes here at Spirit Channel, so check in. I'm going to give all the major transits of the week as well as horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And until then, may you always blessed be. Good night.